Hello, my friend. Welcome, welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is another awesome human conversation where we get to spend time with someone who knows stuff and we get to learn something new. And as you know, it's my favorite thing to do. The podcast is one of my favorite things to do because I always meet someone awesome and we get to share some stuff. So today is Robynn Powers and Simply Embellished Life. Right? Right. Welcome, welcome, Robynn.
Thank you.
No
Glad to be here.
worries. Yes. And how does my questions will go all over the place. We are going to talk about how sleep affects everything. And they know that I preach sleep constantly. But I'm curious how you came into so simply embellished life. How did you come up with that? Where does that come from?
It kind of evolved. But I think, and when I first came up with that name, it included more than it does now because I kind of refined what I really felt passionate about and wanted to really help people with. And so it became to me kind of like a symbol of enhancing your life, but not making it complicated and stressful, just simply doing things that make your life better. So it just became Simply Embellished.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it is, we do sometimes overcomplicate everything, don't we? Especially, at certain times when we feel like everything has to change. It's like we have to chuck it all out at once and start over again. And I think, and maybe this is, we can talk about that too, is like it's smaller things usually that have a bigger change, right?
Right. Small things over time, not
Yeah.
everything all at once.
Yeah. I've done the everything all at once thing. That's a little harder to recover from,
Frustrating and overwhelming,
right?
stressful.
And how did you, so it is true that when you're a solopreneur, you prune and adjust over time what draws you and what your offering often is, especially when you first start out. So how did you initially start into this world?
As far as like the Simply Embellished life,
Or
uh,
wherever you want to go, really. It's
I
kind of
mean,
open-ended. How,
yeah,
not
yeah.
where were you born and how did you grow
No,
up, but
I mean, starting off, I kind of wanted to do like a lifestyle type blog and just kind of give people information on how to make life really great, but not make it complicated and do simple things that make you happy. But I kept coming back to my passion is health and
right.
well-being, not so much all the other, extra. We're all multifaceted and like all kinds of different things and do all these different things, but health has always been a huge part of my life, health and fitness. I mean, I've been in the fitness industry for over 17 years now, so that's always been my thing. And then I just noticed like that's what I was always drawn towards, and so that was what I most like to talk about.
And it's
And
true. I mean, sometimes you start, so, I mean, I do talk about 6 aspects of wellness all the time, but there are things that you can often feel like this one is important, and that's where you focus your energy. And I find that the physical health, like it affects, I mean, they all different parts of your life impact each other, but the physical one, when it's not working well, really does take everything else down, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, our body is our home, it's where we live. And so if it's not doing well, mentally, we're not doing well either, usually. It's all connected. There's no separating it out.
Yeah. And I know we talked originally about how many things sleep. So I guess one of the simple things people can do is sleep, isn't it?
Yeah, we,
And
we all need to.
yeah. Have you heard of that? And I don't know what it's called, where you I know someone who tried it once where you like sleep for 4 hours and then you're awake for a certain number of hours and then you sleep for 4 hours. It's not something you can do in the general 9 to 5 world, but it's like
Right.
this way of trying to maximize your productivity time, which I think is a whole other kettle of fish right there. But it was just like you slept for little smaller blocks of time interspersed through 24 hours. And apparently it made the person go insane. But
Huh. That is interesting. I actually have not heard about people doing that, but I've heard about people thinking they only need 4 hours of sleep every night.
right. And I mean, I think sleep, I mean, it varies, right? On your age and what's going on and the time of year, and so many things impact how much you need to sleep. I have found recently even medications you're on can really screw with your sleep cycles. So when you're working with people, is sleep one of the first things you look at?
It's pretty close. I mean, usually the first thing I start with is what's going on in your mind, what your mindset is, because that has to pretty much start anything. We're not going to do anything without believing we should first, right? So I usually start there, but sleep is definitely one of those top priority things that I think it's going to be a roadblock really to trying to get healthier. If, most people think working out and eating, and yeah, that's part of being healthy, but if you're not getting your sleep right, then sometimes that tends to affect the eating and the nutrition anyways. So I think that has to come before some of those things that people think of generally initially, like, oh, this is what I need to change if I want to get healthier. So I think it's definitely comes first in the journey.
So, meaning like, even if you eat well, if you don't sleep well, you won't be able to get the benefits of it? Or do you think you just make poorer choices when you're not sleeping well? Or maybe it's both.
I think it's both. If you could be eating well, but if you're not getting enough sleep or enough quality sleep, you're still not going to reap all the benefits of that. First of all, you're less likely to clear out the toxins from your body. And so that could be doing more damage than, the healthy eating is helping you. And when you don't get enough sleep, your body, the hormones change. What your body releases changes. So your hunger hormone actually increases, which makes you feel hungrier. Nobody likes to feel hungry, right? And if you're trying to eat better, it makes it really hard and frustrating when you're hungry all the time, but you're like, oh, I don't want to eat too much, which I don't believe in the eating too much, eating too less type of thing. It's really, to me, about what you're eating, not how much you're eating. But you also tend to crave those fatty, sugary foods, not like, let me go grab some carrots. I'm really hungry.
Oh, yay, carrot
So,
sticks, yum.
yeah, they're like, chips, pizza, all those things that have a lot of calories for the volume of food that they are. So you're increasing your hunger, you're increasing your cravings of the foods that maybe you wouldn't necessarily choose if you weren't as hungry. And it also reduces your inhibitions. So you now don't have enough sleep, and now your inhibitions are lowered. And so now, instead of like, yes, I have my plan, I'll go eat my fruit and my vegetables, like, that brownie looks really good to me. Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to have it because you don't have that same willpower that you would if you were completely rested and
Because I want
feeling
it,
good,
damn it.
right? And also the hormone for making you feel full, which is leptin. So you're feeling hungrier, but then you're also not getting full as quickly and as easily. So it causes
Right,
you to eat more often, and probably even more than you would have normally.
right. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. And I think about sometimes the workout side. Because we have similar, I've been in the fitness industry. Well, I've been teaching yoga for 19 years, but I'm also a personal trainer. And it's interesting, like I'll have clients who I don't actually want them to work out. I don't want to work out with them because what they need is to sleep. Because I feel like it's not as, and maybe you can speak to that a little bit, it's not beneficial. It's like you think the workout is what you need, but maybe it's not.
Right. Because when you're working out, honestly, like, yes, exercise is good for you, but it also causes oxidative stress to your body. It's causing like a stressor on your body. So if you're not getting enough sleep, that's like a double whammy. Like,
Right.
you're wearing your body down by exercising, but your body, in order to improve from that exercise, needs that rest, needs that recovery time. Your body, when you're sleeping, what it's doing is kind of healing and resetting and recharging and clearing out the toxins. So if you're not getting that part of it, that exercise is not helping you.
I just had the weirdest image pop into my head. I have to tell
Yeah.
you, of like shopping at like around Boxing Day, where the store has been torn apart by people shopping and going through the piles of clothes, and no one has gone in at night and reset everything so that it's clean and tidy and you can get yourself organized and find the things you're looking for. And I have no idea why that popped into my
Right.
head.
It's a good visual to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, when you go into that thrift store where nobody organizes the clothes, it's a mess. Oh my God. Yeah, it is true. I mean, there was a trainer here in Toronto. This was a few years ago. I feel like it was when we still were having, before we stopped live events briefly, because in the span of a lifetime they weren't gone for that long. And he won Trainer of the Year at our big, huge fitness conference. And one of my husband's cousins actually trained with him. And she said the first thing he did, which was the strangest thing, was he told her to stop working out so much and like actually cut back what she did and incorporated rest into his plan. And she started to see results. And she just couldn't figure out why. I said, well, because you need some rest, friend. Like, you need some rest. So when you're helped, like, do you have strategies that you use for people to help them figure that out? And I mean, I know everybody's life is different, but is there commonalities that you see where people can start to figure out how to practically get that rest?
I mean, I think a common thread with a lot of people is they get less sleep because they think they're going to be more productive. They think they're going to get more done. Like, I can't go to bed. I need to do this, this, and this before I go to bed. Or I need to wake up super early because I need to do this, this, and this before the kids wake up, or, you know, whatever else is happening in their life before they go to work. But the truth is that if you neglect the sleep to do the other things, one, you're probably not doing them as well because you're not as focused. You're more likely to make mistakes. It becomes a harder task when you're tired. Just think back to a time when you were tired trying to do something. Like, I feel like you probably have to like remind yourself, okay, what am I doing? How do I do this? It makes it harder, and in the end, you're probably going to be less productive in the amount of time that you used staying up late or getting up earlier than if you just got your 7 to 9 hours of sleep and then tried to get it done at another time.
Right.
I think that's pretty common. And so planning really comes into that as far as scheduling out your time and being consistent about a bedtime, getting the letters all switched around, a bedtime and when do you wake up, because that's really going to set you on the right path to getting good quality sleep, is having a consistent schedule.
I've heard it referred to as sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
You know, it's like go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, you know, have a routine that signals that you're getting ready to go to sleep so that your body goes, oh, this is us getting ready to go to sleep, and that
Right.
you're ready. And it's interesting because you'll hear things like, and I can't remember who this coach is because I don't follow them, but they have, you know, especially for entrepreneurs or people who are working, or even moms, like, let's be serious. It's like, work till your eyeballs bleed. It's like, no, no, that's not really the best solution. It's like the 80s, no pain, no gain. That was not the right thing at that time. And there are people who will say, well, if you want to do something, just get up a half an hour earlier in the morning.
Heard that a lot.
I know. And I understand where it's coming from, and I understand they're trying to create another, usually healthy habit, and they're trying to give them that time and space to have that. But I can't get up a half hour earlier. I don't know.
Yep, I'm with you.
It's like,
Sleep is
no
important
way.
to me. And when somebody tells me to get up earlier, I go, no, nope, that's not the solution.
I've actually now created my life where I don't use an alarm clock.
That's
Bec-
awesome.
right? Because well, part of it, I'm quite a light sleeper, so I wake up quite regularly, but I try to go to bed always at the same time. And I've got this somehow, I don't, it was by accident. I've trained myself of when I wake up and get out of bed. And if I'm tired, I don't wake up. So, but I've created this life where that's okay, right? I have, and it doesn't happen overnight, friends. It took me many years to, you know, figure out what pieces to move around and where and how to structure your days so that you get that sleep. I became very paranoid about sleep when I hit menopause because I wasn't getting any.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And that doesn't feel good, right? To not have any sleep. It makes you miserable.
It's actually it can become scary for the people around you too because your moods get a bit wonky, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you become unpredictable. And I'm pretty convinced that a lot of midlife divorces happen because people aren't sleeping enough.
Definitely reflects, affects our relationships with, our spouses, our kids, coworkers, pretty much anyone around us. Because if we're not tired, we're not happy, and it doesn't make us treat ourselves well or other people around us.
And we have made it quite glamorous in media to, what was that show, 24? People stay up all night because they're so dedicated. I mean, 24 was an extreme example, but you watch TV shows where it's like you pull all nighters, we're going to do this, we're going to plow through this. I'm like, in school, I never once did an all nighter because somehow I just knew that I was not going to be able to write the exam if I didn't sleep. And I don't think you retain anything.
Right. Yeah, at some point your brain is not focused anymore.
And is it so? And maybe you know the answer to this about memories are dependent on sleep. Is this? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, I haven't done a whole lot of research on that, but yes, I have heard the same thing. Like that is when your mind is kind of organizing itself, really, yes, and creating those memories that stick. So obviously, if you're not sleeping, you're less likely to remember things and be able to memorize.
Yeah, you might remember for the exam, but and I remember us having a conversation, a quick when we were talking before about risk of disease. So, is there
Mhm.
specific things that you think that are affected by sleep, and is it because of, or what is? Maybe I'll just ask you, what is causes that?
So I talked a little bit before about how when you're sleeping, it clears the body of toxins. So these toxins are generally what is contributing to different diseases. And that can be anything from heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, cancer. I mean, the list just really goes on and on. Any, thing that you can think of that is pretty common in our society might have to do with how you're sleeping.
Do you know how much that has been studied at this point? Like I don't go and read all the research. I just ask people like you.
I mean, I've definitely done, reading on the subject. And so I think there are studies out there, but I think it's probably something that you would have to go looking for, that it's not going to be in the mainstream news.
Right, right.
You're not going to just turn on the TV and they're going to be talking about how sleep is ruining your health.
Well, it's interesting because I did read Ariana Huffington's book on sleep and how she became a sleep evangelist after she had an incident where she actually passed out because she was trying to go on 3, 4 hours of sleep. And yeah, she really, really impacted her health. And and it might have just been like an anecdotal study that she did, but showing, how many CEOs of big corporations die young because they're not getting the rest that they need, and they have these big jobs and they're always on.
Yeah.
And do you have strategies for people who have trouble sleeping?
I do. Right before I answer that, I just want to mention too
Oh,
that
yeah.
when we talked about the hormones too during sleep, cortisol is another one. And if you don't get enough sleep, your body actually releases more cortisol, which most people know is the stress hormone. And the more stress you have, the more health problems you tend to have, and it also increases your risk of things like heart disease and high blood pressure. So I just wanted to put that in
Yeah.
too.
Well, I just remember at one point, maybe it was one of those, weight loss ads. It's like, cortisol is making you have a fat belly. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It
Great.
packs fat onto the abdomen. Most of the time, that's where people want to get it off of, right? That's their focus area. You can't just do crunches and that works.
No, crunches don't work for, you can't spot
No,
reduce
right,
your
right.
weight. But it is
Yeah,
interesting that, it's like I'm stressed about, my look. And I mean, this isn't me, but it's like people who are stressed about their external image are creating more stress and impacting the image they're trying to get, which
right. So
is
it's actually having the opposite effect. The stress of how you look is keeping you from getting where you want to be.
right. And sorry, I interrupted in the middle of the other thing you were going to say.
I know. Oh, well, no, you didn't. But then I interrupted you about your question to go back to the cortisol, and now I can't remember what the question was.
I
So,
was talking about the CEOs who die young
oh yeah,
because they're
yeah,
not sleeping.
right.
Ariana
And so,
Huffington.
yeah, that's what you're talking about. The cortisol too. That relates to that because CEOs they already have a lot of pressure and stress, and then add I can't sleep because I have so much to do, and their cortisol is probably high all the time, which then creates weight gain and other health issues. That
Oh,
there
I
you go,
remember.
of longevity.
It was strategies for when you have trouble sleeping.
Yes,
I mean,
strategy.
because you want to have quality sleep, but just
Right,
laying in bed staring at the ceiling is not quality sleep.
right. So one thing I already mentioned was the consistency, was having that set bedtime and hopefully getting up at the same time. So that doesn't mean oh, it's the weekend, I can sleep until 10 or 11, because that really just kind of messes your whole rhythm up. And you can't just catch up. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to make up for that sleep I didn't get during the week. Because if you think about it, like if you got an extra hour of sleep during every night of the week, that's a whole nother night's sleep. You're not making up for that on Saturday and Sunday, right?
Right.
So consistency, like you talked about, not even needing an alarm clock, like that is amazing. I aspire to to be there someday. I can't honestly say that I go without an alarm clock, but most of the time I do. If like on the weekends, if I don't set it because I don't necessarily have to be up, I still wake up at that time that I
Right.
normally would during the week. But I'm not to the point where I'm I'm going to try it without it, because my kids might miss the bus, and that's a stressor.
That would be a stressor. Yes, I don't have to get anybody anywhere, so that's why I can do that. Oh, okay. Now, my friends, Robin's camera is frozen. There she is.
I know you were frozen too, so
There we go. We
we're
can keep. We're gonna keep trucking. So
so other
yes.
strategies other than consistency is to think about things. And I have a whole list, 15 ways to improve your sleep.
Oh, is that your freebie?
Yeah, yeah. My giveaway for anybody who's interested in improving their sleep. But a couple other things that are on the list include devices. Like, we are so into our phones and our tablets and our TVs, but you need to shut that down at a certain point. You can't do that until bedtime. it makes your mind think it's daytime and time to be alert. So then you talked about going to bed and just staring at the ceiling because you can't fall asleep. And some of that might have to do with that blue light that you're getting from the screen and tricking your mind into thinking it's daytime. So put those things away at least an hour before bed, if not, 2. It might depend on the person, you might have to put it away 2 hours or maybe even 3 hours before bedtime, to let your mind know, like, hey, guess what? It's nighttime and time to go to sleep. So yeah, devices down, consistency. And another big one for me is not eating before you go to bed. And
Really?
I think for a couple different reasons. I mean, related to sleep is because when you eat before bed, then your body is digesting while you're sleeping, and it can actually cause a decrease in the quality of your sleep. So if your body's busy digesting, maybe it's not cleaning out all those toxins that you have in your body because it's got another job at the same time, right? So I think that's important for the sleep reason, but then also, like, we don't usually make the healthiest food choices if we're eating right before bed. Again, we're not going for the broccoli and the carrots and let me have a late night salad, right?
Yeah.
So, a couple different reasons, but as far as quality of sleep, it actually does interrupt your sleep, whether you realize it or not, because maybe you're not waking up in the middle of the night saying, oh, I'm full or whatever, but you just don't get the same quality.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess insomnia can be caused by all sorts of things for people. I can think of a whole laundry list. But do you think that things like the consistency in the screens helps counteract some of that, like just automatically?
I personally have never dealt with insomnia, so I don't know it on a personal level. And I think, like you said, I think that can come from a multiple, reasons in your life. And I think stress might be a big part of that, stress and anxiety. Even exercise, really. Like, if you don't ever exercise and you're sitting around all the time, you're really probably not wearing your body out enough that you feel like you need the sleep. And that could be an issue too. So there's so many reasons that could go with insomnia. I haven't researched it a whole lot. I've read a little bit about it, but I mean, there's different things you can try to see if they work. There's also the caffeine and the sugar thing.
Oh, yeah.
When we're tired, we don't necessarily, in the middle of the day, like, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to go to sleep. We're like, I'm tired, I'm going to drink this coffee or this energy drink, or let me just have some sugar to, keep me awake for the rest of the evening. And then those things keep you from sleeping at night because they don't wear off, in the next
Right.
hour or two, or it's not all of a sudden, like, it's not affecting your body once it's time to go to bed. They
Yeah.
they wear off in their own time.
I know for me, I don't drink coffee, but I do enjoy a nice matcha latte. And because I don't drink coffee, I don't get caffeine very often. And so if I have one of those after, say, 4:30 in the afternoon, forget it. I'm not sleeping. So I have to be very conscious
Yeah.
of when I consume that. And yeah, caffeine is a crazy thing. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't believe people used to take it as a weight loss pill
Yeah.
way back when. And it's like, and those Red Bulls and all of
Yeah.
these different energy drinks now that are just on the market. So
Right.
people just feel this need to keep pushing, 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 pushing. But at some point, your body is going to push back on you, right?
Right. It's
With
masking the symptoms of what you're doing to your body, but it's not making it better.
right, which is not good for you.
No.
And just imagine, I had this client once who she was retired, so it wasn't even like she was on the go, go, go all the time. But they went on vacation for several months. And she said for about the first 2 or 3 weeks, she slept so much. And at some point it normalized. And I guess it was just like she had not been letting herself rest. And talking about, I have a joke with my husband, there's no such thing as catch up sleep
No, no.
because, like you said, you can't sleep an entire day. But she was sleeping, 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 sleeping. And at some point, it normalized itself out. And I think that would be such a luxury for all of us to normalize our sleep schedules to that place where you can sleep when you're tired, even if it's at 2 in the afternoon, and you remember naps,
Yeah.
and you wake up when you're supposed to wake up because your body is rested. Just imagine. It's like a utopia.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just struggle with it. They try to fit it to their schedule instead of making it work for what's healthy.
So they've got it upside down,
Yeah.
right? And so you do have, it's going to be in the show notes, by the way, friends, don't panic. The download for people to get this, what do you call it?
15 ways to improve sleep.
15 ways to improve sleep. And because it's simply embellished life, they're going to be easy, right?
Yep. Very easy.
Simple but not easy.
Sure. Yes. So yeah, this simple means pretty not complicated, right? Not complicated, but it does take some effort sometimes.
And yeah, and you have to be consistent with it
Yes.
because Rome was not built in a day. Sleep was not created, changing of habits is not created overnight. But allowing yourself that space to find out how nice it actually feels to be rested and not be on the go, go, go all the time, right?
Yeah.
And they can find you at simplyembellishedlife.com, yes?
Correct. Yes.
And you have a private Facebook uh,
Group.
group. That's it. Not a book, a group for people. Same name, right?
It is not.
Oh.
My private group is for moms,
Oh.
especially that are trying to improve their health. And it's called Motivated Moms for Health, Fitness, and a Joyful Life.
Whoa. Okay, that's going to be in the show notes for
It's a
sure.
long one.
I was speaking last week with another mom supporter who talks about, helping them sort things out so they can thrive instead of just survive children. So
Yeah.
it's a theme. It's a theme. Maybe I'll have to make my month's themes or something. July is the month of mom support because the kids are on vacation. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, seriously. Oh my goodness. It just happened that way, people. I didn't plan it. It just happened that way. Thank you. So before you go though, first of all, I want to thank you so much for coming and spending some time and sharing your knowledge because I do always learn something and I love sharing all that knowledge. But before you go, I'm always interested in what you would say to people as a final word of wisdom.
My final word of wisdom is,
Or words. You can say more than
words
one.
of wisdom is don't put off little things that could change your life. Like, make time for them now. You are important, you are worth it, and don't make life extra complicated.
That's awesome. Thank you. There you go, friends. Mic drop. Don't overcomplicate it. Thank you, Robynn, so much for coming and hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And my friend out in podcast land, if you're tired, go take a nap. It's okay. I give you permission. Here's your permission slip. Take care, and I will see you next time.